I had rehearsed my proposal 1,000 times, ready to make her mine forever, until my younger brother shattered everything with 4 words: "She's pregnant with mine." I had it all planned out, every last detail. After 4 years with Lena, I knew there was no one else I wanted to spend my life with. She was my person, the one who made everything feel right. It had taken months of careful planning, picking the perfect spot, a secluded beach where the sunset painted the sky in gold and violet hues, a small table set with candlelight, her favorite flowers, and, of course, the ring, a stunning sapphire surrounded by delicate diamonds, a ring that I had spent a fortune on but knew was worth every cent. I could already picture it, the way her eyes would widen, the way she'd gasp, bringing her hands to her mouth before whispering, "Yes." But that moment never came. Instead, I got a message that shattered everything. The text popped up on my screen just as I was grabbing the ring box from my drawer. It was from my younger brother, Ryan. "Ryan, 24, we need to talk. It's about Lena. It's serious." At first, I thought it was a joke. Ryan wasn't exactly the type to send cryptic messages. He was the reckless, charming younger brother, always screwing up and somehow getting away with it. The kind of guy who coasted through life without a plan, always depending on others to bail him out. But there was something in those words that made my stomach twist. I called him immediately. He picked up after the first ring, his voice unsteady. "Ethan, I screwed up, man. I really screwed up." The shocking confession. I met Ryan at a quiet cafe near my apartment. He was already sitting at a table in the back, his leg bouncing anxiously. As soon as I slid into the seat across from him, he avoided my gaze. "Just say it," I demanded, my patience already wearing thin. He exhaled sharply, rubbing his hands over his face. "It's Lena." My stomach dropped. "What about Lena?" Ryan clenched his jaw, looking like he wanted to be anywhere but here. And then he said the words that made my world collapse. "She's pregnant, and it's mine." The cafe around me blurred. The sound of clinking cups, muffled voices, everything became distant, like I had been submerged underwater. I blinked, convinced I had misheard him. "What?" Ryan wouldn't look at me. His fingers tapped against the table, a nervous tic he'd had since childhood. It was a mistake. We didn't mean for it to happen. It was just one night, man. One night. One night was all it took for everything I had built with Lena to come crashing down. I gritted my teeth, my hands clenching into fists on the table. "You're lying." Ryan's face twisted in pain. I wish I was. Confronting Lena. I didn't remember walking to Lena's apartment. One moment, I was sitting at the cafe, staring at my brother like he had just stabbed me in the heart. The next, I was standing outside her door, my knuckles raw from knocking too hard. She opened the door, her eyes lighting up, until she saw my face. "Ethan, what's wrong?" I pushed past her, my chest heaving. "You tell me." Lena frowned. "Ethan, what? Are you pregnant?" I cut her off, my voice cold. Her face drained of color. That was all the confirmation I needed. She didn't even try to deny it. "Who told you?" she whispered. I laughed bitterly. "Oh, you mean my brother?" "Yeah, Ryan told me." Lena's lip trembled. She took a step toward me, but I backed away like she was contagious. "Ethan, please, let me explain." "Explain." My voice cracked. "What could you possibly say that would make this okay?" She swallowed hard. "It was an accident. I was drunk. It didn't mean anything." I scoffed, shaking my head. "Oh, well, that makes it so much better. My girlfriend of 4 years just so happened to accidentally sleep with my brother, and now she's pregnant with his kid. No big deal, right? I never meant to hurt you." I let out a shaky breath, trying to keep my hands from trembling. "But you did." Lena reached for my hand, but I yanked it away. Her touch felt like poison. "Ethan, I love you." I stared at her, feeling like I was looking at a stranger. "No, Lena, you don't." The ring that was never given. I left without another word. The ring, still tucked safely in my pocket, felt like a cruel joke. Just hours ago, it had represented a future I thought was certain. Now, it was nothing more than a painful reminder of what I had lost. As I stepped onto the street, I pulled the velvet box from my pocket, flipping it open. The sapphire sparkled under the city lights, mocking me. Without thinking, I hurled it into the nearest dumpster. I had planned on giving Lena forever. Instead, she had given me the deepest betrayal I had ever known. I barely remember getting home. Everything felt like a haze, like I was floating outside of my own body, watching someone else live through this nightmare. The moment I stepped inside my apartment, I locked the door behind me and sank onto the couch, gripping my head between my hands. Lena, Ryan, my girlfriend and my brother. I had spent 4 years loving her, planning a future with her. And with one stupid, careless night, she had thrown it all away. And Ryan, my own flesh and blood, the kid I had always looked out for, defended, protected when he got himself into trouble. And now, he had done the one thing I could never forgive. Betrayal. It was such a simple word, but it felt like poison in my veins. A family divided. I knew I couldn't avoid this forever. My parents would find out soon enough, and I didn't want them hearing about it from Ryan or Lena first. So, I did what any heartbroken, blindsided man would do. I picked up the phone and called my mother. She answered on the second ring. Ethan, sweetheart, how are you? I was just talking to Lena earlier. Mom, stop. My voice was hoarse, exhausted. There was silence on the other end. Ethan, what's wrong? I swallowed the lump in my throat. Lena's pregnant. A beat of silence. Then, my mother gasped. Oh my God. Ethan, that's wonderful. It's not mine. Another pause. But this time, it was heavier. What? I closed my eyes, gripping the phone tighter. It's Ryan's. My little brother got my girlfriend pregnant. I could hear my mom inhale sharply, followed by a muffled, James, get over here. Ethan just said. A few seconds later, my father's deep voice came through the speaker. Ethan, what the hell are you talking about? Exactly what it sounds like, Dad, I muttered. Ryan slept with Lena. She's pregnant. And my voice broke. I was going to propose to her tonight. Mom made a choking sound. Oh, Ethan, sweetheart. I don't even know what to say. Dad, ever the stoic one, exhaled sharply. Where's Ryan? Probably cowering in his apartment, waiting for the dust to settle. I spat bitterly. Mom hesitated before speaking again. Ethan, we need to talk about this as a family. I let out a cold laugh. Mom, we stopped being a family the second your youngest son decided to destroy my life. Face to face with the traitor. The next day, my father called a family meeting at their house. I had no interest in seeing either of them, but a part of me needed to confront Ryan face to face. When I arrived, my parents were already sitting stiffly on the couch, my mom's face pale, my dad's expression dark. Ryan sat in the armchair across from them, staring at his hands like a guilty child. When he looked up at me, his expression was pitiful. Ethan, man, Shut up, I snapped, my hands curling into fists. Ryan flinched but nodded, swallowing hard. Ethan, my father started. His voice tight. Your mother and we don't even know how to begin fixing this. I scoffed. Fixing this? You think there's any fixing this? He knocked up my girlfriend, Dad. What exactly do you suggest? Mom reached for my hand, but I pulled away. Sweetheart, it was a terrible mistake. We're not excusing what Ryan did, but what? I growled. You're about to tell me I should forgive him? That I should just let this go because he's my little brother? My father clenched his jaw. No, Ryan needs to be held accountable for what he did. He turned to my brother. Son, what the hell were you thinking? Ryan finally looked at me, his eyes glistening with guilt. I wasn't thinking, okay? I was drunk. She was drunk. One thing led to another. I slammed my fist against the wall, making everyone flinch. One thing led to another? That's your excuse. Ryan's eyes welled up. I swear, Ethan. It didn't mean anything. I laughed bitterly, shaking my head. Oh, well, that makes it so much better, doesn't it? Silence stretched between us. Then, Mom said the one thing that shattered me all over again. Ethan, Lena still loves you. I stared at her, my vision blurring. Are you serious? Mom, she's carrying his baby. Mom's voice cracked. She made a mistake, but she said she wants to make things right. She still wants a future with you. Ryan flinched at that. I glanced at him, catching the flicker of something, jealousy. Oh. I finally understood. Ryan wanted what I had. He had always been in my shadow. And now he had taken the one thing that mattered to me. And Lena? She had played both sides. She had cheated on me, gotten pregnant, and now she still wanted me to stick around? Hell, no. The breaking point. I took a deep breath, looking my brother dead in the eye. You always did want to be me, didn't you? Ryan's mouth opened, but no words came out. Well, congratulations, little brother. You finally got what you wanted. Then, I turned to my parents. And if you even think about trying to guilt me into staying in this mess, don't bother. I'm done. With Ryan. With Lena. With all of this. Mom sobbed, but I didn't care. I turned on my heel and walked out, ignoring my brother's broken, "Ethan, please." This time, there was no turning back. The aftermath. In the following weeks, the fallout was messy. Lena kept trying to call me, leaving messages that started with apologies and ended with pleas. Ryan, too, tried to reach out, but I ignored every attempt. I packed up the reminders of my relationship, our framed photos, the anniversary gifts, the stupid little love notes, and threw them all in the trash. Then, I moved out of my apartment. Because I wasn't going to watch my brother play house with the woman I once thought I would marry. They had made their choices. Now, I was making mine. And this time, I was choosing myself. The days after I walked away from Lena and Ryan were a blur. My phone rang nonstop. Lena, Ryan, my mom, even mutual friends who had somehow caught wind of the disaster. I ignored every call, every text. I couldn't bear to hear their voices. It wasn't just the betrayal that gutted me, it was the way it had happened. The sheer carelessness. The disrespect. I tried to bury myself in work. But every time I sat down at my desk, my mind spiraled back to the ring I had thrown away, to the life I thought I was building with Lena. The thought that she was carrying my brother's child made me physically sick. But the worst part? She still wanted me to forgive her. She still wanted me. The text that changed everything. One night, as I was about to block Lena's number for good, a text popped up on my screen. "Lena, please, Ethan. If you ever loved me, just hear me out. I owe you the truth. I should have ignored it. I should have deleted it and moved on. But something inside me, a twisted, masochistic part of me, needed to know what she meant." I replied with 2 words. "Start talking." It took her less than a minute to respond. "Lena, not like this. Please meet me. One last time." The truth no one asked for. I met Lena at a small cafe downtown. It was one of those cozy, dimly lit places where we used to sit for hours, just talking. Back when she was still mine. Now, sitting across from her, she looked like hell. Her eyes were red, her face pale. But I didn't care. "Start talking," I said coldly. Lena took a shaky breath, fidgeting with the sleeve of her sweater. It wasn't just one night. My stomach twisted. "What?" She looked away. "Ryan and I. We didn't just sleep together once. It happened a few times." I stared at her, feeling my heartbeat slow, like my body was trying to numb itself. "How long?" Lena bit her lip. "A few months." A sharp, bitter laugh escaped me. "So, you've been lying to me this whole time?" She shook her head quickly. "I never meant to hurt you, Ethan. I swear. I don't." I slammed my hand on the table, making her flinch. "Don't sit here and act like you're some innocent victim. You knew what you were doing." Tears welled up in her eyes. "I love you, Ethan. I never stopped." "Bullshit." She inhaled sharply, her hands gripping the table like she was holding on for dear life. I was confused. I didn't mean for it to happen, but Ryan, he was there. And things between us, between you and me, they weren't perfect. You were always working, always busy. I felt neglected. I clenched my jaw so hard my teeth ached. "So your solution was to sleep with my brother?" Lena wiped her tears, her voice cracking. "It wasn't like that. I tried to stop it, but we had this connection." I felt like throwing up. Connection? Was that what they call betrayal these days? "And what about the baby?" I asked, my voice hollow. Lena's lip trembled. "I don't know if it's his or yours." The words hit me like a freight train. For a brief, stupid moment, hope sparked in my chest. What if it was mine? Would that change anything? Would I take her back? I hated that the thought even crossed my mind. "Are you going to find out?" I asked. She nodded. "I already did a non-invasive paternity test. The results will be in next week." I exhaled slowly. "So let me get this straight. You've been sleeping with my brother behind my back for months. You don't even know who the father of your baby is. And now, after all that, you want me to what? Forgive you?" Lena sobbed. I didn't want to lose you." I shook my head in disbelief. "You lost me the second you chose him." She reached across the table, trying to take my hand. I pulled away. "We're done, Lena. We've been done." She cried harder. "Ethan, please." I stood up. "Don't contact me again." And with that, I walked out of her life. Ryan's fall from grace. Word got around fast. Our parents knew. Our friends knew. Ryan tried reaching out a few times, but I ignored him. I didn't care what he had to say. But then, I got a call from my dad. "Ethan, you need to come over." Now, I sighed. Dad, I told you. Ryan's in trouble. I almost laughed. Not my problem. It is if you want to hear what Lena just did. That caught my attention. I drove to my parents' house, expecting some new drama. What I didn't expect was to walk in and see Ryan in complete meltdown mode. She left me. Ryan roared, throwing a glass against the wall. I crossed my arms, unimpressed. Oh, trouble in paradise? My mother shot me a warning look. Ethan, don't. No, Mom. Let him cry about it, I said coolly. What happened, little brother? Not as fun when you're the one getting betrayed. Ryan turned to me, his face twisted with rage. She used me, man. She never wanted me. She just wanted someone to make her feel better while she waited for you to come back. I raised an eyebrow. And you thought she'd choose you over me? He opened his mouth, but no words came out. I smiled bitterly. She wanted my life. My stability. You were just the side piece. Ryan let out a choked sob. She said she's keeping the baby, but she doesn't want me in the picture. I let the words sink in. Lena had left him. I should have felt satisfied, maybe even victorious. But all I felt was nothing. Because at the end of the day, I had already lost everything. The final goodbye. A week later, Lena texted me one last time. Lena, the baby isn't yours. That was it. No long explanation, no apology. Just cold, hard closure. I stared at the screen for a long time before deleting the message. It was over. For good. And for the first time since this nightmare began, I finally felt free. For the first time in weeks, I woke up feeling empty, but not in the same gut-wrenching, soul-destroying way I had before. This was different. This was calm. The pain had dulled. The rage had simmered. And in its place was a quiet, chilling clarity. Lena was gone. Ryan had lost everything. And me? I was finally free. Ghosting my old life. I cut off everyone, Lena, Ryan. Even my parents for a while. I needed distance. I needed to breathe without their voices ringing in my ears, without the weight of their guilt and expectations. So I left. I packed my bags, put in a remote work request, and moved out of the city. I rented a small place by the coast, somewhere quiet, where the waves drowned out my thoughts. I didn't tell anyone where I was going. Except one person, my best friend, Caleb. Caleb had been in my corner through the entire disaster. He was the one who stopped me from doing anything stupid when I found out about Lena and Ryan. The one who sat with me, getting drunk in silence, no forced advice, no fake sympathy. Just there. So when I left, he was the only one I let in on my plan. Dude, this is the healthiest thing you've done in years, Caleb had said when I told him I was leaving. That's the goal. And just like that, I disappeared. The unraveling of Ryan. For a few weeks. I stayed off the grid. I barely checked my phone, only answering work emails and the occasional text from Caleb. Then, one night, as I sat on the beach with a beer in hand, my phone buzzed. Caleb. Dude, you need to hear this. I sighed, debating whether I even cared. But curiosity got the best of me. What now? I answered. Caleb laughed, but it wasn't amusement, it was pure disbelief. Your brother is falling apart, man. Like, public meltdown status. I raised an eyebrow. Define falling apart. Okay, so get this. He got fired. I sat up straighter. Fired? From what? The guy barely even worked. Yeah, well, apparently he tried to take time off for personal issues and his boss was like, dude, you barely show up as it is. Then Ryan lost his temper. Said some dumb shit and got himself canned. I snorted. Wow, genius move. Wait, it gets better, Caleb continued. So, guess who else ditched him? I already knew the answer before he said it. Lena. Bingo. Turns out, she wasn't lying about not wanting him in the baby's life. She went full ghost mode, moved out, blocked him, the whole 9 yards. I let out a low whistle. So, she used him and dumped him. Can't say I'm surprised. Yeah, but Ryan sure as hell didn't see it coming. Guy's been drinking himself stupid, blowing through money, making a scene. He even showed up at your parents' place, begging them to help him. I chuckled darkly. Let me guess. Mom wants to save him, and Dad's had enough. Exactly. Your mom's freaking out. Saying Ryan's just lost and needs guidance. But your dad? Dude's pissed. He told Ryan to get his shit together or get out. I leaned back, staring at the waves. So this was how it ended for my brother. All his life, he had taken chances he didn't deserve, taken advantage of people. And now, for the first time, no one was there to save him. Not me. Not Lena. Not even our parents. And for the first time, I felt nothing for him. A not-so-accidental encounter. A few months later, I ran into Lena. It wasn't planned. I had returned to the city for a quick visit, to grab some things from my old apartment, to see Caleb, to remind myself why I left in the first place. And then, as fate would have it, I walked into a coffee shop and saw her standing there, alone. She looked different, tired, defeated. The confident, manipulative Lena I had known was gone. For a moment, she didn't see me. I could have walked away, could have left her standing there, forever wondering if I had moved on. But I didn't. Instead, I walked right up to her. Lena. She flinched at the sound of my voice. When she turned and saw me, her eyes widened. Ethan. Silence stretched between us. Then, she whispered, "You look good." I did. I knew I did. I had been working out again, sleeping well, living my life without the poison of her betrayal. "You don't," I said flatly. She swallowed hard. I wanted to reach out. I raised an eyebrow. Why? Her eyes flickered with something. Regret? Pain? Because I miss you. I smirked. Miss me? Or miss the life you threw away? Lena sucked in a breath. Ethan, please, don't do this. Don't do what? I shrugged. Speak the truth? Her hands trembled as she held her coffee cup. I made a mistake. I leaned in, my voice low. You didn't make a mistake, Lena. You made a choice. Tears welled in her eyes. I'm sorry. I tilted my head. Sorry for what? Sorry that I left? Sorry that Ryan turned out to be a deadbeat? Sorry that your life isn't what you thought it would be? She shook her head desperately. No. I'm sorry for hurting you. I studied her for a long moment. And then, I smiled. Not a cruel smile. Not a bitter one. Just peaceful. I forgive you, Lena. She gasped softly. You do. I nodded. Yeah, but that doesn't mean I want you back. It doesn't mean we can be friends. It just means I'm finally free of you. Her face crumbled. But I didn't stay to watch. I turned and walked away, stepping into the fresh air, feeling lighter than I had in years. Moving on, for real this time. A year later, I was in a better place than I had ever been. I had a new job, new friends, a new woman in my life, one who didn't betray me, who didn't make me question my worth. As for Ryan, he had faded into nothing. Our parents still worried about him, but I didn't. Because for the first time, his mess wasn't my responsibility. I had spent years saving him, only for him to stab me in the back. Now, I had finally saved myself. And that was the best revenge of all. Thank you for watching. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do so and hit the notification bell to stay updated with more shocking Reddit cheating stories happening around you.